Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land, where you come every Monday to Thursday for your top stories. And it is swelteringly hot here in Israel. We hope wherever you are in the world, if you are in areas hit by heat waves, that you are keeping safe. We, of course, are keeping the people of Greece in our hearts and in our prayers as wildfires threaten many people, especially those who are dependent on tourism for their income. It is extremely hot here in Israel as well. So if you are in Israel, please remember to make sure that you hydrate and you stay safe from the sun. Anyway, that public service announcement over. Let's take a look at those top stories. And we begin with yesterday's very, very controversial vote in the Knesset. When we left off yesterday, the Knesset was in the process of voting for the reasonableness law, which would see the judicial scrutiny on the reasonableness standard be removed, and the government or elected officials be able to make rulings that are not subject to that very, very critical judicial scrutiny. So yesterday the vote went forward 64-0. All members of the opposition left the chamber of the Knesset, refused to vote on this. They had called for compromise, and a special mention to Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who really pushed as far and as much as possible for compromise, maybe a delay in the voting on this particular bill. We're understanding just how divisive it was for Israeli society. However, it was a no-go from Justice Minister Yariv Levin, who refused to compromise on anything. Also pushed on by Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is reported to have at one stage threatened to topple the coalition unless this went forward. Now, speaking about Ben-Gvir and Yariv Levin, when the vote passed, they brooked a lot of criticism. Itamar Ben-Gvir for taking to Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, and tweeting out, or was that Xing out, saying that this is just the salad bar before the main course, and God willing, more of these laws will pass. And Yariv Levin caught by the media taking selfies in the chamber. It was deemed extremely insensitive, seeing that many Israelis, in fact the majority of Israelis, are particularly against this and are now kind of feeling very unsettled as to where we go from here. Well, no sooner had notification passed that the law had been passed, protesters took to the streets of Jerusalem, Modi'in, Ra'anana, Tel Aviv, Haifa, the south as far as Gaza enveloped cities in protest. There were many clashes with police. Police used the water cannons in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv, despite being asked not to by doctors and medical professionals because of the kinds of injuries. Protests carried on into the night. Mounted police had to try and move protesters off the highways. Please note, we don't sanction the use of blocking highways. And at least one man in his 20s was arrested for plowing his vehicle into three protesters in Ra'anana, lightly injuring them. The stock exchange and the shekel were impacted by this as well. Stocks falling on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange and the shekel devaluing, a trend which has continued into today. Prime Minister Netanyahu last night addressed his public, saying that moving forward, they will only move forward with consensus. There has been a lot of criticism against the Prime Minister. Many are asking, has he lost control of his government? Is Yariv Levin, who is the de facto Deputy Prime Minister, has he got more control than what Benjamin Netanyahu currently has? The White House weighed in, saying that it was a great pity that this had been passed and appealed for broad-based consensus moving forward. And earlier today, the British Foreign Secretary also opined, saying that while it is not the place for the United Kingdom to interfere with Israeli decisions, they are also hoping for responsible, broad-based consensus voting. Meanwhile, the Movement for Quality Governance as well as Yesh Atid have filed with the Supreme Court to question this decision. And I know for some of you it might be confusing. How can they file a complaint with the Supreme Court if this bill removes the reasonableness standard? Well, they can file and look for other clauses which could push the bill down as well. And earlier today, Yesh Atid also filed with the Supreme Court demanding that Justice Minister Yariv Levin reconvene the Judicial Selection Committee, an act that he has pushed off with a lot of criticism, saying that this is irresponsible. So where are we today? Today we are very much in what many Israelis feel as uncharted territory. Many Israelis are celebrating, but many Israelis are feeling that this seriously impacts on our democracy. Protest organizers have said that they are only getting started now, and also took out adverts on the front pages of several newspapers, including Israel Hayom, Yediot Achronot, and Kalkalist, an economic broadsheet with a big black square saying a black day for democracy. So we will see how we move forward from here. We will see if the Supreme Court do have the authority to strike down this bill based on other criteria, and how we will proceed moving forward, and if the appeal for broad-based consensus will be heard. Meanwhile, doctors have embarked on a 24-hour strike in protest of the legislation. However, a short while ago, a Labour court said that they had to end their strike effective immediately. The Anthropology Association of America have voted to boycott Israeli academic institutions. Of course, this goes against the very principles of academic freedom and discourse. At least 70% of their voters voted in favor of the resolution that would bar the association, but not individuals, from cooperating with Israeli universities. The Palestinian Authority has filed documents at the International Court of Justice at The Hague. They are looking for an indictment and want an opinion on what they call Israeli crimes of apartheid and the legal consequences. Palestinian Authority officials called this a great day for Palestine. And finally, in some good news, because hey, we could really do with some good news round about now. The Saudi Arabia government has filed with UNESCO allowing for all delegations, all member delegations, including Israel, to participate in a confab taking place in the Sunni Muslim kingdom. Now, this will be the first time that Israeli government officials will officially be allowed in to Saudi Arabia. And those are our news updates from today. As you can see, it has been a very, very busy news time in the state of Israel. And as always, we've got you covered here. If you've missed any of our briefs, please catch up on our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook page is at Lartel's site. Like us, follow us, share our content. Our YouTube channel, as always, is at the Israel Brief. Click on that red subscribe button, and we're on Twitter at @LayofTheLand5. I'm Rolene Marks, bringing you your news and going to stick my head inside a fridge, and I will catch you again tomorrow.